Well, he's one of the most successful high school football coaches ever in the state of Texas. And, of course, he's the assistant head coach of Baylor Football. And the Texas High School Football Coaches Association going on, this convention going on this year in San Antonio. Joey McGuire joins Craig and Paul, David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio. How much fun is it just that you're around all that, again, the convention and shaking hands? I saw pictures. Shane Anderson sent me a picture, among others. Matt Stepp. What's it like just to get back in that environment?
Man, it's incredible. It is incredible. At first, it's great talking to you guys, but it is this has been the biggest pre-registration for coaches school. They were over 13,000, and then of course you have all your walk-ups, and so I think everybody's just so excited to be back around each other and have some sort of little bit of normalcy, and everybody's excited for the football season.
Before we get into you being in the Hall of Honor, what is it like to be a part of that fraternity of Texas high school coaches? I know that other coaches, states in the country probably have our tight-knit group, but there's something different about this, isn't there?
There is. I think just the professionalism of whenever you have an association like the Texas High School Coaches Association, and then you have the UIL, just those two entities, and the way they can bring the sports together and the way they do things, I think it's just a whole different level. And, just the professionalism of this association too, and wanting to learn from each other, and the education they put together for the coaches, for their kids, and just more and more of the things that different people deal with, just the things that they're trying to do for the students in Texas. It's pretty incredible, and it's one of those deals too. You're everywhere in the public school system where you're talking about coaches, their teachers or their full-time employees, to be able to do this. So you're not having people coming from the outside like some different states to where that's their second job. This is definitely a calling and a job, and in Texas to be a high school coach.
So, Coach, we were at Big 12 Media Days last week, and it was the first time seeing Dave Aranda in a while. And I remember hearing his first introductory press conference and just kind of how mild-mannered he was and almost too quiet to even hear. And then to see him last week, he was all smiles. He was just in a great mood, and he seemed to be having a lot of fun. What kind of growth and just what have you noticed with Dave Aranda over this last year, his first as a head coach?
Well, I watched all those guys. I love watching all those, the media days and listening to different coaches. And, first I thought Coach did a great job expressing, what this team is starting to become. And then I thought Terrell and Connor did a great job when they were interviewed. I think, getting to go through spring football. If you think about it, first-time head coach is always tough. Because you're learning so many things. But to go through the COVID and be a first-time head coach, to go through not having spring football and just different restrictions of how you were practicing and how you were meeting and everything like that, and to be able to go through spring football and really, this is our identity, this is who we are, it definitely, I think, gives everybody in the building more confidence that we're going to be ready to line up game one and be a different team than what you saw last year.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine. And we haven't been able to talk to you in quite some time, and I don't know if we got a chance to visit with you much at all during spring drills. Can you try to compare what it's like now where you are defensively? And there are some comparisons being made to how stingy the team was a couple of years ago.
Well, I'm starting this spring was starting my 28th year, because I started in the spring when I first started coaching, and I've been around a lot of great coaches and been around a lot of different schemes, and just even for me being in like starting year 2 with Ron Roberts and understanding even more what he wants. I think that helped every coach that was in that room to be better. And then, defensively have so many guys coming back. Terrell didn't go through spring, but, we know who Terrell Bernard is. And then you pick up a couple of guys and shoot, man, one of them I think he's the best defensive lineman. I know they're not going to put him on the list and everything because he wasn't in the conference last year, but I think, Apu's the best defensive lineman in the Big 12. And I think you're going to see, him making an impact for us this year, not only with him being on the field, but I think he pushed that room. I thought DJ did a great job of pushing that room for guys to get better because Cheaty had a really good spring. It's going to be a fun defense. It's going to be a really fun defense. And, we've got two guys that really kind of lead that defense in Petrie and Bernard. And we're going to get after it. I feel I'm really excited to see what we put on the field whenever it comes to the defensive side of the ball.
Both Connor and Terrell told us that Apu is 360 but moves like he's 250. Is that accurate?
Oh, no doubt. I've said that all week to every coach that, they were asking about it. And I say, hey, we're going to be really good on defense. And the one reason, and I talk about Apu, and I said, man, the first time I saw him, I thought DJ asked me, he goes, how big do you think he is? I said, he's like 315. And he's like, no, he weighed in today like at 257. And I'm like, holy. And he moves like he's 250. I mean, he does. He doesn't move like that. The other thing with him, though, man, he's got just such a phenomenal personality, and he's come in and fit right in with the team. And, and so the guys really love him. He's fun to be around, and, that always helps. Always helps.
Coach, how do you feel about your outside linebackers as the season approaches? I know that was a group in the spring where you had a lot of guys. You had a lot of guys that you felt good about, but what have you seen since spring ball wrapped up from that group?
We're excited. We moved Gorman into my room, and so I'm really excited to see what he does. He didn't go through spring with me, but he had a great spring in the defensive line. So I'm excited about him. I thought, Anthony and Ashton and Vic all had really, really good springs, and it was kind of one of those deals of didn't know exactly who was. It was almost like each practice, one guy was leading or having a better practice. And so you add Garmin in there and you're going to have four really, really good football players. And a guy that didn't go through spring was Tyrone Brown, and he'll be back. It was because of his shoulder, so he'll be back. So there's a lot of competition in that room right now who's going to get on the field. But I was excited about the guys we had in the spring, and then you give me a guy that's 6'7", 255 pounds, I'll take him any day of the week.
Absolutely. Over the weekend, you were inducted, as you earned and well-deserved, into the Texas High School Football Coaches Hall of Honor. There was no doubt that was going to happen, but it is now official. You had to wait a little bit. What was that like?
It was I got pretty emotional. Number one, whenever Joe Martin, who is the executive director of the Coaches Association, called me, I started crying. I love this association and what it stands for and what it's given my family. And so it was such a huge honor. But the way I look at it, too, is the assistant coaches and the players. I mean, it just because I told everybody when I was going in, Cedar Hill's going in. Every staff member, every administrator, and you don't go into a Hall of Fame without great players and a great coaching staff. And so it might have my face on it, but it is a part that face, every one of those guys are a part of it. So it was incredible. It was a great moment. It was a great banquet. I was me. I'm never speechless, and I was pretty speechless whenever I always, I think, have something to say, whether sometimes I shouldn't say it, but, I was pretty speechless. It was a huge honor.
I mean, for 28 years in coaching overall, and right now the lion's share of that in high school coaching, I can't imagine, Coach, how overwhelming it must feel to be a part of something like that.
And here's what was really, really cool about it, too, is one, it was a packed banquet, but the two administrators that hired me, my assistant soup, Holly Teague, and my AD, Gina Farmer, was there. All my family on both, Debbie's family and my family were there. And Coach Aranda came, and I thought that was really cool. Sean was there and Haley Wetzel, but – you also had Coach Rule and Julie flew in for it, and Mike Saravo flew in for it, and then I had my entire. There was only, there was only 2 coaches that weren't there that had been a part of my staffs in the 14 years at Cedar Hill, and players, and so for having all those people here, extremely humbling, but just so excited to share that with them. It was crazy. It was a really cool night.
Coach, I know when Matt Rule was first hired, one of the big things he did was, go through the Texas coaching circuits and all of that, and really made a good impression there that paid off later on. How do you think Dave Aranda's done in that regard? Obviously couldn't have had an event like this last year.
Man, he did. He's doing a phenomenal job. Jeff talked this morning, Coach Grimes, and Coach got to and introduce him whenever he talked. Coach actually got to talk yesterday at the Division I panel. I thought he crushed it. We had a Bear Association deal last night with a bunch of different high school coaches, and I thought it was the biggest event that we've had here in San Antonio that I've been a part of going into 5 years. It was the best attended. So I think he is doing a really good job. I think it was extremely important that we had coaching school and he was able to be a part of it, because I don't think until you're here and you see you can go to the AFCA, but coaching school is the AFCA on steroids. You got a couple thousand to 5,000 at the AFCA. You got 13 to 14,000, here in San Antonio right now. So I think if you've never been and don't understand how important it is to the state, and I think him being here and people to getting to know him more and more, and he's doing it right. He believes in the straight line recruiting, and I think that 100% we're doing it right of what we're doing and how we're recruiting our kids.
Do you feel as excited as this season approaches, with the workout starting in August, as far as getting ready for the season? Is this different because of last season, or because of 2-7, or because of just the fact you guys have momentum from spring? Is it any different? Is this as anticipated as anything else you've done as a coach?
Well, you know me too. I'm always excited. Yeah. I mean, if I get a chance to coach football, I'm fired up. But the one thing I think, just if we can get to the point to where it's a little bit more like, it's not going to ever probably go back to totally like it was, but to have a full stadium, to be able to have a full camp without, knock on wood, any interruptions, be able to really do that. I cannot wait. And I do feel that we had a really good spring. I think we're having a phenomenal summer. I think we have great chemistry, and that usually leads to a really, really good year. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited because our players like each other. Our players love being at Baylor. Our players, I think, are really enjoying the staff and what we're trying to do with them. And so I'm really excited. I can't wait to get back around the guys, but I can't wait to get on the field.
Hey, Joey, go get your voice. You're already, it's not even the season. You've already lost part of it, I'm sure.
Hey, don't worry. I'll have that coaching voice ready to go first day. Don't worry about that, brother. Congratulations
on the Hall of Honor. So proud of you for that. And also, thanks for all the insight on the football team from all of what's been going on the last few months. And also, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. That's Joey McGuire. Congratulations.
Man, you're right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Full throttle. Stick your head in a tank of gasoline, light it with a match is what his mantra is, not mine. That's Joey McGuire, Baylor assistant head coach, associate head coach, and linebackers coach